ultimately PVP here. Hold on, I'll just go in 4 hours for a moment. So when you zoom out a little bit, I'll delete this guy. So this is the profile that we are looking at, right? So if you look here, this is the profile that was in question. Again, let me hide this so you guys can actually see it. Okay, so it has 1, 2, 3 months, and then we had this month, right? June, and then you had the July overlap. But this was the balance that we were talking about last night in the watch list, if you guys recall. We highlighted these levels here, and in the shorties corner, I was pretty clear that there's a high chance we're going to be spiking there quickly. And throughout the day, I think I was fairly clear. You reclaim this level, then they pulled it back, and I said there's a high chance they're going to run it. And they ran it all the way from here, and then ultimately they could not get new blood. They came back to that Friday sell-off value area low, and they were not able to get any traction, right? So they got rejected, and now I don't know where we are at the moment, but we came in at 261 level. I would not be shocked if we are at 42 level here. 89 would be a big level, and we'll cover why. But I wouldn't be shocked if they come back and revisit somewhere below this 244. I think we said we have 217 and 205, and I'm just going off the levels in my head. And below that we had 189, which was the single prints from the day prior, and then you had, I think it was like 141, and then below that we have 133 and 20 now being stuck here on the SIG 1. But ultimately for today's session, I don't think there was any surprises. I think they did what they had to do. They filled the gap completely, right? So they came back, they filled the gap, right? Excuse me. Once they're able to do that, then you see that there was some aggression, right? And then they just take a look at the volume. This morning, how did we start off the day? Here's your 930 right here. Let me hide this. Here's your 930 right here. Can you guys see it? Like right here, this candle.
Yes, sir.
So look at the volume on the bottom. Is this a typical 930 volume? I mean, I don't know if you guys look at it, but relative to other days, does this look like a big volume at 930? I mean, zoom out.
Not at all.
So here, I'll give you a way to look at it. Look at the first bar in every day. Does that look like a lot?
No.
No, not at all. Then what I noticed, right, where we opened, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see this. And where we opened is where? Now think about the slide on PowerPoint. I think it's like slide 60 something about the value tips and tricks, right? We opened above. I would say this is a really strong profile to the upside, right? You have a massive access low print here at the bottom. I think this is 51.89.5. So this is pretty massive, right? And you're opening pretty much in alignment with the POC, which is considered a fair price for that day. Then you dip below and you quickly reclaim that POC. What are they telling you immediately about the price?
They're bullish.
They're bullish. And that's when I was like, okay, well, it looks like they really want to run this and they're going to go and clear. And I think I was pretty clear step by step what they're going to do. They cleared this level. Why was this level important? For new people, this is called a poor high. When you have two periods, like two letters, F and G, each letter will cover a Sunday, represents 30 minutes. So when you have two of them, like you have this one, and you have two levels on the top, that means that there's a poor high, means the unfinished auction. And you'll understand what unfinished auction means as well, a little bit more details on Sunday, but the market's one big market auction, right? So if they're coming to a top and we don't have a clear winner of that price or whatever product you want to call it, they want to come back and resolve that, right? And pretty much that's what they did. After they cleared these levels, that was the next level that they're targeting. Also on midnight, I mentioned the level that I said all the PJ traders should be aware of it. Does anyone know what that was?
67.
67.
Is it this one? Right
Yeah.
on. It came back to 67, and sometimes, right, timing the market is hard and it can be boring as fuck. And I'm being honest with you, I've done this for a very long time. there's times where you're looking at candles and you're like, okay, you're really not gonna fucking get to the point where I'm trying to buy or sell, and it doesn't get there. And some people are eager. You might get in a little bit early, but there's you're limiting your reward and such. But there's instances that I do it where I'm like, okay, you're a quarter point away, like you're not gonna not fill me because of it, right? But this was a really good setup, right? They went from here, and of course you wouldn't know about these value area highs and not, but they cleared a poor high. I believe we had a level at 323 here. I think it was 323 and a quarter or so. We had that level, and then above that we had 345, and then the Friday's auction was somewhere around here as well. I think this was here. But basically everything worked as planned. I was not really shocked when I saw the sell-off. It was fairly evident that the buyers are really, I would say they're not buying, guys. And what I mean by that is, I'm trying to draw something here, and this thing keeps popping up. Is there anyone know how to disable this? Okay, pay attention here from open. And pay attention from open. What is the price doing? Yeah, I'm gonna do it to the same candle like this one.
With divergence.
I mean, do you guys really think they're buying this, guys? Like, is there any, do you really think the big boys are buying here?
No.
If there were, we would not have this, right? They're not involved in this auction at all. And of course, the value area high is here. Now you have something called what between the 2 days?
Balance, maybe.
Yeah, you have a 2-day balance, right? You have the ranges are overlapping. The value area clearly shifted higher, right? We had a nice dip, and then you have a pretty good access low here, which happens to be, right in the level where you're like, oh crap, if you guys lose this, it's dangerous, right? But what happens in this imbalance is, how do you know where they are in this imbalance? Like between, how would we find out? Like, okay, where did this buyer come in? How would I know? Between 52.54 and 52.21.
By looking at footprints.
Yeah, that's the only way, right? I mean, and you can look, this came in, I would say this is the A period. So that came in what time?
9:30 to 10.
Okay. Who wants to take a bet that we're going to hit 52.39 by the time we wake up?
I think we will.
Yeah. And why? Why do you think we will?
Well, it's rejecting now. I'm watching it now. I think
I'm
we'll
short.
hit
Yeah.
20.
Okay. But why would you guys think 52.39 would be some importance?
Open and a POC.
All right. So this is going to be, how about this in 30 minutes? Do you see it?
Back to PLCs.
Yeah, 3 stack POCs, guys. In 30 minutes, this has a high chance of coming back to this level and testing to make sure. Because if you look at the, they came out, they're like, oh my God, we're gonna buy everything there is, right? And then they left a poor low on the bottom. And you look here, 209 contracts, 209,000 contracts, decent delta, right? And then you look at how did it go? I'm trying to make it. Let me see if I can adjust it for you guys. It'll take a second. But there's a high chance that they might come back to that level because that's the level where we initiated the buying, right? And if you look here, this is pretty massive here. The amount of contracts traded at this level is pretty big, right? Massive size, like 15, 16,000. And even before open, there was some volume. And then if you go and check, right, going to the right, there was a lot of signs that the auction was stalling today when we were lifting here, when we went 53.05. There was a good amount of aggression selling. And then look at the volume here on buying. What do you notice here at from 12:30. I know it's lunch hour, but all the way till about 2:30.
Delta.
The
going down.
delta went down a
The
lot.
Delta is
There's no buyers and there's no volume, which is expected during lunch, right? So if you find right here, if you find, for instance, where the aggression came in, let's look right here. They had aggressors come in here, then we popped higher on a lot less volume, right? And not a lot of aggressive buying. And then a massive seller here at 53.40, followed by another one that's selling, and it could be potentially the same guy just selling at higher prices, right? And then this was a key here. This candle here, if you guys were watching this was a live, candle, and it printed nicely at 3 o'clock. Why do you guys think this one is important? This one.
a completed auction.
That's correct. So you have a completed auction, and I'll give it a second to print out this volume here. But this is pretty massive size at the top. And then you see the follow through. It never really came to the top. But what do you guys think happened to these buyers that were sitting here at this level? And you see they started buying here aggressively. And look at the volume here as they went up. What happened to the volume? I can change color if you guys want. This one needs to be red. Great. Yeah, this is a pretty good trap. I mean, you're going higher on a lot less volume. And then look at the delta here. If you combine some of these levels right here, 4,000 contracts, 3, 4, 3, 1,500. This is where pretty much a lot of selling occurred. And where did the selling occur? Well, look to the left. This is where a lot of selling occurred, even though, it looked like, look at these deltas, that there was a lot of buying and they popped higher, but that was the trap. This is where a lot of people got trapped, and it's telling you here, this is all a trap here. So if they can go above 53.10 and start building value in this section tomorrow, this is just footprints analysis. That's a good sign. Now, if you look further, right, you go here to 330, you see that there's some aggression buying here. They tried, there's large amount of delta, but look at this candle here that's coming in at 330. 254,000 contracts with delta of 23,000 negative. I mean, that's a big boy sitting there. So now, and just a similar level we had, just take this POC here and keep in mind, if they can go above 265, I wouldn't be shocked if they slowly, when I say slowly, I mean it slowly, like it would look like a snail climbing up a tree and you're waiting on top range, drag this up to this level, and this would be a very, very interesting level here. Anywhere between 94 and like 305, there's a lot of selling pressure. And these boys will defend this position, okay? So that's from the footprint analysis. Does this make sense to most? If you're new, I know it's not going to click right away, but I promise after Sunday you'll be 50% closer. Okay. All right. So now for tomorrow, it's fairly simple actually. If you're a buyer, I mean, think about it. We are in a 2-day balance, right? You're in a 2-day balance, and we have the stacked value areas. You can do 2 tricks. You can do this and say, hey, if you're holding below 52.77, ultimately, if you're below this 52.61, there's a high chance of what?
80%.
High, yeah, 80% chance of hitting. Would I wait for this level versus this level? I'm familiar with 205 level quite a bit. I would not challenge that level at 205 because there's about 20,000 contracts traded at 205. I would most likely close as we approach this POC rather than wait, with the full size if I'm still short full size in this area. This is not the spot to initiate. So I would start closing, right? Especially if they break this 54, which would be the day prior to that value area high here. That would indicate that the buyers are not accepting what?
It's just higher.
Yeah, they are not
Value
interested
higher.
in the value here. they're interested more in trading into this value. So I'm trying to color code it. I'm doing a pretty job, like in this area. So they tried up top, and if they can't defend this, you're going to the bottom. There's a high chance that you guys are gonna go see something like this, and then there's gonna be a little bit of high volume node here, because when you grab the 2 days, what are you guys seeing on the profile? Pay attention to this volume profile that printed here. Why am I saying pay attention
So the
to this
value
profile?
is at the bottom.
It's a double distribution here on the bottom inside the value, right? So you have a really nice peak here. Can you guys see it? You can see it here on the right, right? So if I increase this. Okay, you guys see it now. So you have a really nice double distribution here on the bottom. So once they crack below this level, below 52.40, there's a high chance you're gonna go all the way to 207. What happens to be at 52.45 currently, do you guys know? What's there? It was on my chart here.
It's the year-to-date POC and the 3-month POC of that bracket.
It is a 3-month and a year-to-date POC. So that level is going to play a crucial role if we go to the bottom, which will be, you know, the 205 and 189. And if you can hold about that level, there's a high chance that then they crack PD value area high from Monday, and that they proceed higher. All right. For me, all I'm interested is honestly, I can look at this and trade tomorrow. I don't need any single level. You lose this level, 52.45 or so. Let's say this volume node here for now, since that's what's printing here. You lose this and you offer me something like this. I'm taking this down, close, and I close the laptop or PC. Fairly simple.
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah.
just think about it. You're in a 2-day value area high. I would mark my extremes, right? So this will be your, we call it SIG1. You guys can call it whatever you want. This is your extreme value area low of the 2 days. Here's your bottom. So basically, if they're inside of here, what does it mean about the type of auction we're going to have? If they're inside here.
Bracketed.
Yeah, that means it's going to be a two-sided activity. Most likely, we're going to be buying the bottoms and selling the tops. But considering we are in a massive, I would say, downtrend for now, but we are slowing down because we did what today with this profile? Did we make a higher high? This was a PDH, right? And poor high, and we went higher. Therefore, we negated the daily time frame, right? We're no longer framing down on the daily, we're back in balance. Hence, I'm covering the balance scenario. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So right here, you know, this is Monday, value area high. If you're able to crack below that, you're smelling blood. If we go below this level here, 51.75. Once you crack that, you're not looking for a lot of bounces for long. So you're monitoring first the 45 level, which is sitting here, I believe is 45.75. If we lose the year-to-date POC, guys, there's a lot of room to fall down. And if you guys think we're done with selling, I don't think we're done selling. I expected a bounce. We got the bounce, but we're not done selling. I don't think we're done selling here. Let's see. So this is February. So here's your year to date. I think I'm missing a month. Yeah, January. So here's your profile, and here's your value area high sitting at 53.90. Do you guys see where the value area low is for year to date? 48.14. And what's separating this visit here is this node right here. Because what happens to volume as you break this? Is there a lot of volume?
No.
This will be very quick. If they lose this node right here, if they lose this level right here, below this level, it's going to be a dump. Probably another 300, 400 points on ES. I would go here.
Do you think you might start looking at like longer term puts if they do break this node, or do you think that's something?
They will give you a retest. They will pull us here, just like, you know, this was a level today to get some longer data puts too.
Yeah.
It's going to happen like this, and they're going to crack. They're going to give you this. It takes a little bit of time, but they'll give you. Okay.
Yeah.
But I
So if-
think big boys are not done selling either. Like, you know, you're, you look at the, what's Facebook, not Meta. Who am I missing? Tesla. I mean, these boys are not by any means done. So we were back in the value here for the, what, February till now. We bounced off a bottom. If I was to grab this for them, very close to the bottom, 25 points short. And then they went above it right now. And you see that they are rejecting. If you grab the top balance, what are they rejecting on the top?
Value area low.
So
Great.
now, and I hate this. Honestly, I hate this. And I've talked about this in the videos before. I hate trading in between these massive values here. It is violent. It's a stop loss hunt. They know where it's headed. We don't. It becomes very, very difficult to, you know, to trade. So let's see what they do. But there's a lot of room, I would say. All of the big boys have a lot of room to fall, guys. Apple, well, Amazon hit the level.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
puts must be doing amazing, or your short.
I
or
didn't even
mean,
check. I didn't even check, to be honest. I
think
didn't
you
look.
did it-
My long-term portfolio was up nice today, very nicely. Yep.
Amazing.
Getting 3% on a long-term portfolio, I know it's tiny percentages, but go ahead and try to make 3% on a large account. It's fairly impossible. Yep, 3.23%.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say just be careful if you're looking to buy Mag 7. I personally would not touch it here, but it's your call, right? I mean, I still think they have a lot of room to go. For instance, Apple. Yeah, they need to pray that they hold this tomorrow at 205, and I don't think it bodes well when your biggest investor sold 50% of their stake in your company.
Yeah, a lot of people will be following him.
A lot of people will be following him, but now, you know, the big boys or the liquidity, the locals, what do they have to do with those shares?
Yeah, buy 'em up.
Sell them.
They did. Here you go. Retail buying, them selling, and now news come out, poof, dump. Now they're most likely headed to 189, like this area right here. Oh, it'll be quick too. There's some news brewing probably on it. Yeah, but a lot of bad news, I would think, for the big boys here. I don't think they're necessarily done selling, but I think companies like this company had a really good, I guess, earnings today. I didn't even know they had earnings coming up, guys.
I thought you did know that, so I was like,
No,
No.
man, I didn't know. I just went off the levels that I was really confident when I was looking for a market buy, and it's done pretty well.
I'm glad I got some too. So I'll
Yeah.
say.
No, it's pretty big level. I do expect this to be the swing high right now at like 21. I think they're gonna set this up as a nice range here, and we can trade in between, right? But I think this volume node should hold here. 2017 would be a nice retest for a move higher. I mean, quick, what, 15, maybe even 20% on this. I don't think I've had it a week. I don't know when I bought it. I'll have to check, but I think I posted in the chat when I did.
We could
Okay,
call on
and
that one.
let's see. Man, by the time I find it. Where the hell is it?
We believe you, Shorty.
Well, I know. I mean, I think I'm. Oh, I'm in the wrong account.
I think you got it on Monday last week.
Monday.
Yeah.
Honestly, don't even know why I bought. I bought 500 shares of it. Yeah. Which is not bad. I mean, my total return is 15%. I made $1,300 off of it just on that trade alone. Which is not bad. And that's why we do those scans, is to look for opportunities like this one when it's sitting. And somebody else brought this one up. I think it might have been Sunny or somebody. So I appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, I'll be live tomorrow morning. I'm not going to trade tonight, so that way I'm not down in the morning as we open. I'll wait for it so I can be live and have a reason to stay live. I'm not taking any trade. I'm short now, but only like tiny position.
Are
Are
we
you
Thank
what,
you, Shorty.
Hey, Short,
I'm
I
sorry?
just had a
Yeah, go ahead.
question.
Go ahead. Sorry, I
saw
thought
you
I heard
marking-
you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw you marking up the chart on regular trading hours, RTH. So is that what we should be doing instead of ETH?
So for
always get
volume
that-
profile, I use ETH, and the reason why I use ETH, back in the day, there was a lot of trades that happened at 4:05, right? They would come in at the close of hour, right before 4:15. They would eliminate, like they would dump a lot of shares or volume would come in. They've actually minimized that price action because a lot of dark pools now do that job for them because you don't get to see it on the volume profile. So RTH market profile, when you think about it, you only care about the hot session, which is the New York session, right? Just the cash session, which is 9:30 to 4 Eastern or 4:15 Eastern because the settle price. So for time, right, you only care about the active time. You don't really care about how much time you've spent between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. Maybe if you trade Asia sessions or if you're, in that time zone, you might care for it. But for us as traders, for most part, out of United States, that's where a lot of liquidity comes in, and that's where the big boys are too, 9:30 to 4. So for time, I personally don't care for extended or electronic hours, right? I really don't care for it. But for volume, I scan it to see if there's any anomalies coming after hours, right? And sometimes you'll see me point them out even on after hours on footprints. Sometime I'll post, man, there's a really large block that came in at this hour because they try to do stuff while nobody's watching. So that's why I do volume sometimes as an extended, and I use time market profile on RTH, regular trading hours.
Okay.
Does
I
that make
appreciate it.
sense?
Thank you. That makes sense.
Okay, perfect. And we're at a big level here on ES, just so you guys know. I guess I need to switch to ETH so I can see it.
So, and during the day, we're on ETH, right?
I use RTH during the day. I don't use anything else but that. During the day, I'm on RTH.
Okay.
This should be a rejection coming here on ES.
Yeah, they're there right now, pretty much.
Yeah, should be a peak above, and let's see what they do. Yeah, they have to clear this level. I didn't see it. They're gonna tap that probably here shortly. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you guys in the morning. I promise I won't trade overnight. I'm turning it off right now.
Good night, Shorty. Thank you.
Thank you, Shorty.
We
All right,
appreciate
guys.
it, man.